Okay, so we are going to start tonight in supported fish. So you can grab onto, if you've got a couple blocks, you can use those. If you have bigger books, you can use those instead. With blocks, you would want one behind your head and one behind your back, so you can make it into like a T shape with the blocks. If you don't have blocks and you just have pillows, you probably want two, or just to scrunch up your pillows a little bit more so that you can expand over your pillows to open up your chest. So whatever props you have, just grab onto those and then start to come down onto your spine. And it may take some adjusting a couple different times to get it right, but you'll come down for your supported fish. Again, finding a prop or two that will feel good to you. And you'll want it to be in the mid part of your back so that you can lean your head over your pillows to open this up. And then this might feel good enough to you. You might feel like you're opening up in the front part of your body, or you might feel like you need a little bit more, which most of us hold a lot of tension in our shoulder or chest area. So it might be very difficult at first, but if you goal post your arms out, the goal is to eventually get your forearms to touch down on the sides of your mat, which right now, like, I'm way off of mine, and through some opening as we're laying here, as we get centered and grounded, I might be able to get them even closer, but that's just allowing my chest area to open up. So again, finding a shape that feels good for you. It's gonna look different each time you try it. And this might not be your jam tonight. You might say, not really feeling supported fish. You can start in whatever pose will help you ground, help you get into your yoga posture. And whatever that pose is for you, just close your eyes once you get there. Coming and connecting back to your breath. So I talk about this every week, but typically you probably don't think about your breath very much at all throughout your day, throughout your week, unless you're in yoga class with me and I'm forcing you to think about it. So come back to your breath, start to tune into your body, noticing any areas of tension. So as you're laying here in the supported fish, especially if you are goal posting your arms out to the side, you might feel a lot of tightness in your chest area, perhaps in your shoulders as well. And just imagine that as you're laying here, that you're opening up and creating some really great space in the front side of your body. You're undoing the damage from being hunched over. I am so guilty of hunching over my phone or hunching over the computer, and I don't really use, any core strength or lift my shoulders up and back, down my back. I just slump over, crane my neck, and then after I realize I've been scrolling on my phone for a really long time, or maybe I'm taking a break from sitting at my computer, I feel really stiff in my upper body, and I realize, wow, I've been sitting here hunched over for who knows how long, probably way too long if I'm doom scrolling on social media. And just coming to terms with the fact that not only did I just waste a ton of time, but I also did a lot of damage to my body by closing myself off in that posture, and I haven't been creating space in the front body. So this is just a really good pose throughout your week. If you feel like you've been really slumped over a lot, or you just have a lot of areas of tension in your upper body, this is just a great one to counteract some of that. Keep your mind on your breath. Come back to your space on your mat. We are a couple days out from Christmas, if you celebrate that. Holiday season is upon us here. And this year is extra weird because of COVID. So you may have family traditions that you typically look forward to that you're unfortunately not able to do, or you have to make new traditions this year, or perhaps holidays just are a stressful time for you in general because of stuff with family or loved ones. So yoga is extremely necessary. Yoga breathing is extremely necessary to get you through some of these times. And coming back to that, even if it's a random yoga posture that might make you feel good, that you just bust out randomly in your day, or tuning into your breath and tapping into that, just using your breath to help you get through that stressful situation or just stressful cycle that you're in, to really just release that energy fully. Those are really good techniques that you guys don't, necessarily need an hour-long yoga class to be able to utilize, which you're learning all the tools here, but you can take them with you throughout your week. So if you find yourself just needing that, I hope that you remember that you do have the tools to get you through the stressful stuff, and to use your breath to guide you through. Just take a few more moments here to set your intention, your reason for being on your mat tonight. Maybe it's just your weekly thing that you look forward to, which I look forward to you guys every week, and I'm so glad that you're here. Maybe it's, something that you really just needed this week specifically, or this year specifically, or you're just trying something new. So come to that place of why you decided to join. Take a deep breath in, allow your belly to fully expand all the way out, sipping in all this really good air. And then slowly on your exhale, just start to slowly release your air all the way out, imagining that you can bring your belly button all the way to touch your spine. So when you feel like you're all the way empty, just try to release even just a little bit more air. Hold empty at the bottom. And then take one more round of breath like that on your own. So expanding out, allowing your belly to fully fill out, holding full at the top, taking one more sip of air. And then slowly start to release on your exhale, letting your breath be audible. So just any kind of loud sigh out you can do on the way out, that's great. And you can come back to that breathing and slowing down your breath and just reconnecting with your breath at any point during your practice tonight. And again, anytime during your week, your month, or anything that you're facing. And when you're ready, slowly on your next exhale, start to roll over to one side just to come off of your props. And you'll just move those out of the way. Just throw your pillows or blocks or books or whatever. Come back to your spine. Back down to your mat, and just feel the expansive space that you've created in your body. So your upper body should feel a little less tense, a little less hunched over already. And we are going to get into our hamstring series with our strap. So if you did not grab a strap before we started, now's your cue to do that. You can use a dog leash, anything that is long that you can get around the bottom of your foot and still hold on to. A tie, a belt. If you do have a yoga strap, you can grab that. But when you're ready, you'll extend your left leg long. Bring your right knee in towards your chest. So you're at a 90-degree angle, so that you can loop your strap over the ball mount of your foot. The key is to avoid this middle area. So you want to be either on the fleshy part by your toes, or more towards your toes, I should say, because if you hit in this middle part here of your foot, you could do some damage just by pulling on that. So try to get towards your toes, and then extend your right leg to the sky, and then start to slide your hands down your strap or whatever you have, so that your elbows can rest on the mat itself. Don't hold on to a ton of tension in your hands either, but just allow this prop to help you nudge your toes towards the crown of your head. So you should feel a great big stretch on the back of your right leg. Doing a lot of hamstring stretching right now. Just use your breath here, allowing yourself to really get into this pose. And again, anything you have will work, even like a towel or a blanket. anything that you can get so you can stretch your hamstrings without having to try to reach your toes, because if you're anywhere, like me with how tight your hamstrings are, I'm nowhere near my toes right now. So just breathe in, breathe out. And on your next exhale, start to transfer your prop into your right hand. And when you're ready, really ground your left hip bone into the mat, and then start to bring your right foot over towards the right side of the room. So as soon as your left hip starts to pop off of the mat, just ground that back down. You might not be very far over right now, that's okay. The goal is to keep your hips grounded. And your foot, if you're looking at a face of the clock, we're in like a 2 or 3 o'clock position, just depending on how flexible you are. And be mindful again of your hand gripping onto your prop. Can you release that down your prop a little bit so that your right elbow can rest on the mat? Might just be a little bit helpful there. So breathe in, breathe out. Use your breath to get you through this. You should feel a stretch on your right IT band, same with your hamstring, your calf, good stretch here. You might also feel it on your left hip, just from opening up and expanding out on the side. You might feel that. You probably feel it in your inner thigh as well. So again, just use your breath here. We won't be here forever. Close your eyes if you need. And then slowly on your next inhale, we're just going to transfer towards the left-hand side. So switch out your hands to grab onto your prop with your left hand, and then slowly start to bring your foot over towards the left side. So again, if you're at a clock, you'd be at like a 9 o'clock position. This is a really good IT band stretch. So if you do a lot of running or you just have really, really tight hips, this is a really good one to get into that. So you might not enjoy it a ton right now, but I promise when we're done, you'll be glad that we're done, but also that you did it. Use your breath here. One more round of breath. On your next inhale, bring your foot back to the center. And then just try to bring your toes just a little bit more towards the crown of your head, just for a hold here. Exhale, start to bend your right knee just so that you can take the prop off of your foot. And then lengthen your your right leg up to the sky, and then slowly start to bring it down to meet your left foot. If you are laying here, you might feel that your right foot is just a little bit longer than your left leg. We will even that out now. So we'll just switch that out to the other side. Again, grabbing onto your prop, bend your left knee in towards your chest, and then looping that on again. Find that fleshy part by your toes and extend your leg long up to the sky. And then just try to bring your toes more towards the crown of your head. You should feel a really great intense stretch in the back side of your left leg. And again, if you can slide your hands down your prop so that your elbows can rest on your mat, it just helps release some of the tension that you would be holding onto in your upper body to really get into this properly. So use your breath here. And knowing that we won't hold this thing forever. Slowly on your next inhale, bring your prop into your left hand and then nudge your foot over towards the left side of your mat. Again, in that like 9 o'clock shape. Just still feel hamstring stretch, and also can start to feel this on the inner and outer thigh, and potentially also on your right hip, just depending on how tight you are right now. Close your eyes, come back to your breathing, come back to your intention. Know that we won't be holding this forever. Again, be mindful of your right hip. If your right butt cheek has come off of the mat, or you're just really leaning more towards the right side to get more into that, come back to ground your hips. And you might not be over very far towards the left, but that's okay. Use your breath here. And then slowly on your next inhale, grab onto the strap or prop with your right hand, and then bring your leg over towards the right side of your mat. Should feel this on your left IT band now. And each side is so different. So you may have had a harder time on your right side, or maybe this is your more difficult side. Just paying attention to areas of tension that you're holding on to, seeing if you can stretch long enough to allow that to release. And your next breath in, bring your foot back to the center. And then just try to bring your toes just a little bit, a couple inches closer to the crown of your head, feeling that great stretch on the back side of your left leg. Exhale, slowly bend your leg, just remove your prop. Extend your left leg long, and then bring it to meet your right leg. Should feel pretty even now, hopefully. So again, just extend out into a big pentacle-like shape. Just spilled my water everywhere. Don't do what I just did. Stand out to a big pentacle-like shape, feeling the expansiveness happening in your body. And then bring your knees in towards your chest. We'll just gently rock and roll the length of our mat to be able to come up to a seated position. And from here, we're going to take a seated forward fold. So you likely will need a bunch of props again for this one, just so that you're not hanging over for a few minutes. So if you have a couple throw pillows, I definitely recommend those. But before you pile them on, just move the fleshy part of your sit bones to the side so that you can ground down. And then bring your props to your lap or in between your legs, whatever feels better. Inhale, bring your arms up, your gaze up. Exhale, start to reach towards the front of your space. Reach, reach, reach until you really feel your spine rounding into that C shape. And then you can start to fold over your props. So this is where you might need to make some adjustments or get more props or ditch some props, whatever feels best to you. But you'll want to be in a shape that you can hold on to for a few minutes. So that's why we usually use props here, just because hovering over and hunching over your thighs without any kind of prop just doesn't always feel the best. And this just allows you to really open up, relax as much as possible, allowing your neck to feel heavy. Releasing any tension in your upper body. And since we started to open our hamstrings, you might find that you actually can get deeper into this posture than you have before, or typically do when we do restorative. Your open hamstrings might allow you to release one of your props or just reduce the amount of space between your chest and your thighs. So if you haven't done so already, close your eyes. Really tune into your breath. See if you can slow it down. Trying to slowly inhale and exhale on your own pace. But again, seeing if you can make it slower than you're used to. Our forward folds are so good to reset our central nervous system. So if you've been in a constant state of stress, in that fight or flight response, just always dealing with crap that's happening in your life or at work or both, to really help you neutralize that, to get back to that, state of rest, of just resetting. Forward folds are really great at calming your mind, allowing you to really reset that cycle. And seated forward folds are great because you can hold them for a pretty long time, and it helps really lengthen your hamstrings. It also opens your low back. But if you have the space during your week, and it's not super weird if you're not in an office right now, to do a standing forward fold. If you really are feeling extra stressed or tense, getting your heart below your head just really helps reset that even more. And then using your breath, so slowing down your breathing, coming back to that, really can help calm you down if you're in a state of panic, if you feel like you're having an anxiety attack, or you're just not really able to cope with what's happening. It's just a really good technique to use throughout the week. But if you're in an office, or it's just like super awkward for you to do a forward fold randomly, standing anyways, you can always do this variation sitting down and just allow yourself to close your eyes and come back to your breath. Every exhale, just imagine that your chest is getting just a little bit closer to your thighs. Seeing if you can sink deeper into your breath. Slowly, on your next inhale, when you're ready, start to make your way out, one vertebrae at a time. Slowly come up to a neutral seat. And then you'll just want to move whatever props you have off to the side. Bend your knees, bring your knees in towards your chest. Bring your hands behind your low back with your fingertips facing your glutes. And just windshield wiper side to side, just to release your low back, undoing that stretch we just did. And when you're ready, come to a tabletop position. And we are going to take a child's pose. So knees out wide, toe tips touch, sink your hip bones back down to the mat. And then stretch your fingertips towards the top of your mat. And if you're the type of person that holds on to a lot of tension in your upper body, or you just really need a good lat stretch, so the upper sides of your back, I'll let you know when we're halfway through. So if you want to, you can take this variation where start to crawl your fingertips over towards the right side of your mat. When you get there, you might notice that your left sit bone comes off of your heels a little bit. Really try to ground it down so that they're even. So if you need to come off from being towards the right hand side a little bit to allow that to happen, please do that. But bring your forehead down to something. So if you've stayed in the normal child's pose variation, or you've come over to the right hand side, Bring your forehead down to your mat. If that's not accessible to you, you can roll up a blanket, put a pillow there. Just find a way to get your forehead to touch down onto something. And then close your eyes. Roll your shoulders down your back. If you have any lingering tension in your face, so maybe you're holding on to tension in your jaw area, can you just soften that a little bit? Or maybe in your upper back, you sense that there's still some tension in your shoulder area. Can you just roll your shoulders on your back or just move your shoulders away from your ears? So just allowing yourself to lengthen here as you really ground down into the mat. Coming back to your breathing, coming back to your reason for being here tonight. Child's pose is also a really good one for a reset. It also is a gentle stretch for your entire body. And one that often gets overlooked as something that, can really help you throughout your week. Let's breathe in here. And we're about halfway through. So if you did come over to the right-hand side, start to crawl your fingertips towards the left, but just briefly pause in the center and then make your way over to the left-hand side. And once you're there, just pay attention to your right sits bone. If it came off of your heels, just try to really ground back down so that your hips are squared to your mat. And then again, tune into your muscles in your face and any tension in your upper back. If you did make that move, just try to release that here. Allow yourself to fully sink into your mat, bringing your forehead down. Allowing your breath to help you really sink into the mat. And pressing on the middle of your forehead like that is also something that is instantly calming for a lot of people. It helps ground you. So if you are super anxious or just feel like you can't catch your breath or can't pay attention to your breath, bringing your forehead down onto something just for that grounding can help you reconnect with your body a little bit and can help you reset your stress cycle. So again, another good technique to use throughout your week. You need use your breath here. You've come over to the left-hand side. Start to crawl your fingertips towards the center. Take a deep breath in and a big open mouth sigh out. Let it go. On your next inhale, crawl your fingertips in towards your chest, coming back to that tabletop position. Then just sway your hips from side to side just to release any tension that you might be holding on to. And when you're ready, we're gonna come into a hip opener and it's your choice. So if you wanna come into frog, you're more than welcome to. I'm gonna avoid that because of my belly. But if you wanna get to frog, I can talk you through that. I'm going to take sleeping swan, AKA pigeon, if you wanna take that variation with me. But I'll talk you through frog first if it's been a while since you've done frog or you just start craving frog. So you would come down to your belly. I'm obviously not going to do that. Bring your chin to the mat, and then you'll goal post your arms. And when you're ready, you can start to slide your left knee in towards your left elbow so that it's also at a 90-degree angle. And once you feel like you're in a good shape with your lower body, you can dig your toes into the mat, your right toes into the mat, I should say. to lift your hip off of the mat and then try to bring it over about an inch over towards the right, just to really get into your hip flexor. If you're going to take sleeping swan or pigeon, you come to that tabletop position, you can bring your right knee in towards your right wrist, bring your right ankle in towards your left wrist, extending your left leg long behind you, taking a peek over either shoulder. Inhale, take your gaze up, and then exhale, you just come down. So again, whatever hip variation you have selected for yourself, whatever form of torture that you've picked tonight, you should be feeling an intense opening in your hip area. You might also feel it in your low back, just depending on how you're holding onto tension. And you might find that you need some props. So if you have any knee issues, you can always roll up a blanket or a mat underneath your knee. If you feel like you're dumping into your hip, if you're in this pigeon or sleeping swan pose and you're dumping into your right hip right now, you can always shove a block or a blanket underneath that hip just to keep you up a bit. But whatever you're in, just notice where you're most tense. And if you aren't really feeling it for whatever reason, if you're really flexible in your hips, or you just miraculously are not stressed out, which I don't know who isn't these days, you might find that, you know, hip openers aren't a big deal to you. You don't hate them. But a lot of us do store tension in our hips, and it can be uncomfortable. It should never be painful. I always tell you guys that. And if there's ever a pose that I call out that you don't want to do, you're more than welcome to take anything else that's calling for you. But typically, as I mentioned, our hips are just these great places to store a bunch of crud. And it can be really uncomfortable when you stay still enough to release some of that tension. So try not to fidget. If you find yourself moving a lot, just try to breathe through, close your eyes, come back to the reason why you're here. Use your breathing to get you through. And we're already more than halfway through this side. So that hopefully brings a smile to your face, knowing that we're almost done. The only unfortunate thing is we do have to even ourselves out, so you will have to tackle that other side. But we're not even, as you guys know, and so this side might be your bad side, and you're just getting it out of the way, or vice versa. I'm sorry if the other side is a little bit worse for you, but either way, your breath will get you through. Come back to that. Take a deep breath in, big sigh out, let something go. Whatever pose you're in, start to make your way out slowly. And take what you need to reset. So you might need to come back to tabletop, or just windshield wiper your legs if you're in frog. Might need to sway your hips from side to side, whatever you need. Again, this is your practice, you take that. And on your own time, on your breath, we're just gonna swap it out to the other side. So no matter what you took, coming back to that neutral state. So if you took frog, bring your chin back down to the mat, goal posting your arms. Then sliding your opposite knee up towards your elbow so that it's in a 90-degree shape. If you took pigeon or sleeping swan like I did, you'll just slide your left knee this time in towards your wrist, bringing your ankle towards your right wrist, and then taking a peek over either shoulder as you extend your right leg long. Inhale, take your gaze up, and then you'll just fold it over on this side. So finding what works for you. You can always take this pigeon variation on your back. So if this is just like way too much for you at any time, because again, each week is gonna feel different, and you might get to that point where this doesn't feel that good and you might want to swap it out with something else. So being on your back is always an option. You can bring your knees into the tabletop position with one leg grounded on the ground, and then bringing your other leg into like a figure four shape. So it's kind of like doing pigeon just on your back, and then bringing your knees in towards your chest. So always a really good option if you're not feeling the intense hip opener, or for whatever reason being in this variation just doesn't feel good to you, you can just swap that out. Use your breath, close your eyes if you haven't done so already. We're halfway through this side. We're almost done with this pose. There's no more hip openers. No more hamstring stuff. Take a deep breath in. Open mouth, sigh out, let it go. Slowly on your next inhale, start to make your way out of whatever you're in. Taking any movement that feels good to you. So again, if you're in frog, you might want to windshield wiper your legs while you're still on your belly. If you came into pigeon, sometimes swaying your hips from side to side and tabletop feels good. You might need more than that. Again, listening to your body. And then just find your way to your seat. And you'll want to grab your pillows or really long pillow if you've got it. We are going to take deer pose. So you'll want to bring you want to face the long side of your mat, the way that I'm faced right now. So pick either side. And then you'll take your right shin parallel to that side of the mat. Bring your left knee in towards your right foot, and then tuck your left ankle in towards your left butt cheek or your left hip for that cheerleader type sit. And then your pillow or pillows will go on your right side, so facing your right thigh. And when you're ready, you'll start to just twist your torso towards your pillows. And this shape, honestly, might be enough for you. You might be getting enough of an intense stretch, twist. In this side, you might not want to come down. If you want to take the full variation of deer, you'll start to crawl yourself down onto your props and trying to rest your body onto your props in whatever way that's going to feel good, and taking your gaze to either side. So you listen to your body, you know what's best. Find a shape that feels good to you. If this is too intense of a twist for you and you want to try something else, you can always come down to your spine and then bringing your knees over towards the left-hand side for just a normal supine twist, or any other posture that's going to feel good to you. So you find what feels great to you. Normally I would be flat all the way down, resting on my props, but you know, my belly is getting in the way of that, and so I'm more up on my propped up on my forearms, and I'm still getting the benefits of the twist, but I'm just not as deep into it. So that's always an option too. Or again, you can just come facing your right side in that twist shape without even coming down onto your props. You're doing a lot for your body just getting into that twist as it is. So find what stage of your twisting feels good. And we're halfway through this side already, so try not to fidget. Try to find a shape that feels good to you. Closing your eyes as much as you can. Using your breath. Coming back to your breath. Take a deep breath in, big sigh out. Slowly on your next inhale, start to make your way out of this twist. And before you switch sides completely, we're gonna take a counter twist to the other side. So keeping everything where it's at, just start to twist over towards the left side of your mat. Taking a gaze over your left shoulder. Again, just to counteract that. And then we're gonna just swap that out to the other side. So you might want to leave your props where they're at, and you could face the other side of your mat so you don't have to move all that stuff. And you would just place your left shin parallel with the mat. I'm going to flip everything around just so that I'm still facing you guys. So take what you need here. But your left shin will now be parallel. You'll bring your right knee in towards your left foot, and then tucking your your right heel in towards your right glute. And then sit up straight and then start to twist over towards your left-hand side. So again, this might feel good enough to you. You might be like, yep, this is where I'm hanging out tonight. Again, you're doing a huge twist right here, so just breathe into that. If you want some more fun, you can come down onto your forearms or all the way down flat onto your props to really get into that deer pose all the way. So I know that you guys know your bodies and know what's best for you. So listen to whatever is feeling good, and if it's not feeling good, don't do it. And if you need to take something else, like that supine twist variation or just another pose completely, please listen to yourself there. But once you have found your cozy shape, close your eyes, coming back to your breath. Seeing if you can really start to slow your breath down. If you have forgotten about your breath throughout class tonight, that's totally okay and normal. Most of us don't think about our breathing 24/7. So just seeing if you can tap back into your awareness of your breath and seeing if you can really slow down your breathing. So normally you might inhale for 2 or 3 seconds and then exhale maybe even less than that. Just seeing if you can even out your breath even helps a lot. So if you're inhaling for 3, exhale for 3. If you want to try to challenge yourself to slow down your breathing to really help you get ready for bed, you can try to lengthen your breath by counting to maybe a count of 4 or a count of 5 on your inhale, and then do the same for your exhale. And if you really want to challenge yourself, I know we've done this before, but you can practice your box breathing, which is if you imagine a box shape, square, you inhale for, let's say, 5 count, and then you hold at the top for 5. And then on your exhale, you exhale for 5, and then you hold empty for a count of 5. So if you can just picture a box shape and going around that box as you inhale, holding or exhaling, that imagery of box breathing and just imagining that square or that box really does help you count and then pay attention to your breath and what you're doing. And even completing a cycle or 2 of that, so just trying it once or twice, you would be surprised about how much that actually does for you and helps reset stuff for you. It may seem really silly or just like, that's lame, I don't want to try it, and that's totally fine if you're not there. But if you're open to it, I highly encourage you to try. Even just doing it once can really do some really good benefits for you. And if anything, just being more aware of your breath and that you don't take it for granted that your body just does it automatically for you, is the practice of mindfulness and just being here on your mat. You have continued your breath cycles and you're counting your breath. Just complete whatever breath cycle you're in. So taking the time to do that fully. And when you're ready on your time, listening to your body, start to make your way out of this shape here. And before you move your props out of the way, we're just gonna come over towards the right hand side, twisting over towards the right for that counter twist. Taking your gaze over your right shoulder. And then come back to center slowly. You'll move your props out of the way now. We are done with props for the evening. And when you're ready, we're gonna come all the way down to our spine. So take your time to get there. Release down slowly onto your back, one vertebrae at a time. And we are going to take reclined butterfly or Supta Baddha Konasana. So bring the soles of your feet to touch, your knees out wide. And you may need, and I just said we don't need props anymore, but you may actually want them. You may want them underneath your knees here, just to allow your front side of your body to gently open and not be strained from having to hold up your legs here. So props underneath both sides of your body might feel really good. You might be fine to hang out in this for a few minutes. So again, whatever feels good to you. You can change up how this feels by either bringing your heels in closer towards your glutes or further away. So that diamond shape that you're creating with your legs right now, you can either make it a shorter, fatter, like wider diamond, or longer and skinnier with your legs, just depending on what kind of stretch and what kind of opening you want on the front side of your body. And then as far as the top half of you goes, if you want to, you can bring your hands to your belly just to, again, pay attention to your breath, go through some cycles of breathing here. You can bring your palms facing down on the ground for some grounding. So if you've been feeling extra anxious or just off, you can use this time to ground. But whatever you're doing with your upper body, just make sure your shoulders are rolled down your back and you're releasing any tension in your face. So you might be scrunching up your eyebrows right now, just seeing if you can release those down, releasing any tension in your forehead. You might be clenching your jaw, just pulling on to some more tension there, seeing if you can release that now and allowing your tongue to release from the roof of your mouth. And then again, just rolling your shoulders, like physically roll them up towards your ears and then down your back, just to release that tension that you might be holding on to there. And you should feel a great opening that's happening in your low back right now. So again, just finding a shape that feels comfortable to you, using your breath to get you through here. And we're already more than halfway through the shape. So try to stay still. It's so easy to fidget. But the more that you stay still in these postures, the more that your body is able to really fully release and to open and to really start to lengthen and to release all that tension and that stuff that we just hold on to because we just love to do that to ourselves. So using this as a real good opportunity to release that out, help your body come back to a neutral state so that you can fully relax and let go of things. Slowly on your next inhale, close your knees back together. Then bring your knees in towards your chest and gently sway from side to side. Just allow your low back to release. And when you're ready, you'll find your final resting shape. So you might want to try legs up the wall tonight to really help reset your central nervous system. You might just want to stretch out into that pentacle shape that we took earlier, or coming down into more of a neutral shavasana shape. You can bring your hands back to your belly or to the ground, whatever is gonna feel good for you to reset here. Whatever shape you have found for your Shavasana, take a deep breath in and a big open mouth sigh out. Let something go. On your next inhale, just do a quick body scan, seeing if you're holding on to any tension anywhere. Checking your muscles in your face, your shoulder area, your upper back. Even your hands, you might be holding onto some tension there, just seeing if you can softly release them. Allowing your feet to fall to either side of your mat, to allow your toes to hang heavy towards the earth. And on your next exhale, just fully relax and enjoy these next few minutes of rest. Stay in Shavasana as long as you need tonight. You're in your space, and if you feel comfortable where you're at, please tune out the sound of my voice. I will shut off Zoom as soon as we're done here, and you can continue to rest. But if you want to move on with your evening so that you can finish up what you need to do and get to bed, start to bring some awareness to your body. Perhaps you wiggle your fingers and your toes. And then slowly on your next exhale, when you're ready, make your way to either side just for a brief stop in fetal pose, using your forearm as a pillow, closing your eyes here just for a moment. And slowly on your next inhale, start to make your way up to a comfortable seated position on your mat. Bring your hands into your heart center and softly close your eyes. Take a deep breath in. Big sigh out, let it all go. Breathe in something good, something that you still need for this week, this year. And on your exhale, just release out something that you no longer need. Thank you all so much for joining me tonight. I truly appreciate each and every one of you. I hope you all have a great holiday, and I hope to see you all again soon. Namaste.